My people, this is Barack Lesnar, and I actually have a new video for you. This video is a little different than my traditional videos because what I wanted to do is, since we're at the end of the season, I want to review my do not draft list that I started right before the season. Now, I haven't watched this video since I've made it, so I didn't watch it previously to this. To justify my bad picks, I'm going to do this in real time. And really, this is for accountability. I gave you guys advice, so I want to go back, review this, and see what sound advice I gave. And if I gave bad advice, then maybe we can both laugh at me. How does that sound? So I'm going to play through the video, let it play some. It's a 35-minute video. I don't want it to be that long for you. Stay tuned until the end of this video because I do want to talk to you about an opportunity with the end of the fantasy playoff season. I can't help everybody to the degree I want to help, but I can help a select few. So I'm thinking about starting an experiment where I start a chat that I give you exclusive access to for a membership fee. You pay me a fee, and then I help you directly with your team. We can communicate on Skype. You can present your team to me, and we go over the moves that you should consider making. So that's something I'm going to talk about more at the end of the video. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, let's start with Paul George. Love the guy. He was one of the best fantasy players last year by far. As you can see, he helped you across the board last season. Scored a ton of points, got you a ton of rebounds, got you great assists. Almost 4 3-pointers a game, over 2 steals. But here's the issue. He's injured. And they're saying he may not be back until... All right, so Paul George, I got to give it to myself on that one. You didn't want to draft him there, and he missed a lot of the season, and he's still missing a lot of the season. So I'd say I was right with that one. All right, let's see. Let's discuss Mitchell Robinson. Let's see what I said about him. Projected to be in the top 15. Now, he has an average pick of 28.2. If you can get him after pick 30, I would go for it. But where he's being listed on the rankings, I just can't in good conscience suggest that you pick him up. All right, so on that one, I'd say I was accurate again. Mitchell Robinson, though he has been playing better as of late, he really wasn't justified to pick him that highly based on how he's produced this season so far. I do see one that's coming up, though, that's going to give me a little fear. I see it coming. But I'm going to have to listen to it. Not drafting this early. He's going for Clint Capella, who are proven commodities as far as fantasy basketball. Clint Capella's been injured recently, but he was still a better pick. Trae Young is someone else that I would recommend not drafting this early. Ouch. He's going at an average pick of 20. Ouch. Now, after the All-Star break last year, he really showed out, and he put up great production. But he's still very young. He's only a second-year player this year. And a top 20 pick on what's still largely unproven, I don't know that I can recommend that. Boy, was I wrong. Man. L. Giving myself a hard L on this one. To be fair, to expect a 20-year-old player with his size and lack of experience in professional basketball to put up numbers comparable to James Harden's MVP seasons, that was a little difficult to predict. I didn't predict it. So, he did it, though. He's good. He's really good. And if you drafted him that early, you ain't mad about it. So if you didn't draft him based on my advice, this is my official apology to you. Percentages did go up significantly after the All-Star break. So that's enough about Trae Young. Let's see who else we covered. Let's see what I said about Aaron Gordon. For a big man, His field goal percentage is pretty His free throw percentage isn't great. He does help you in points, rebounds, and assists. The three-pointers aren't the worst. But the steals and blocks for a big man, along with over 2 turnovers per game, I'm just not a fan of his progression so far in the NBA.
All right, so Aaron Gordon, I'd say I hit the nail on the head with that one. Now, again, he is another player who has been playing better recently after he was robbed of the slam dunk title. He has been playing much better, but for the season, he's at 14.4 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 43% field goal, 30% from three, 67% free throw. As far as his steals and his blocks, he has zero point 0.8 steals per game and zero point 0.6 blocks per game. If you compare the numbers that I just read to you, they're almost identical to those numbers right there that he produced last year, except they're worse. So he got worse. And at an average pick of 62, I gave you some very sound advice to avoid Aaron Gordon right there. So I'm going to give myself a W for that suggestion. All right, so it looks like Blake Griffin was on my list. Let's hear what I had to say.
Game is questionable due to the fact that he doesn't get a ton of steals. He doesn't get a ton of blocks. He gets high turnovers. His free throw percentage and field goal percentage leave a lot to be desired. Where he does help you is in points scored. He helps you with rebounding. He does help you with assists. And he's become a much better three-point shooter from the beginning of his career. But combined with just how big of an injury risk he is, he's pretty much having an off-season surgery every year for the last few years. His availability is not great, and when it comes to fantasy basketball, these numbers do nothing for you if they're constantly in a suit on the sideline. Considering he's projected to be in the top 91, and he's being drafted at an average pick of 44.7, I think there are healthier players who offer just as much as far as fantasy production.
I mean, I don't think I need to say anything else. I mean, past me has to say anything else. He had an off-season surgery. He was ranked really poorly when he did play. He didn't get steals or blocks. He hurt your percentages. He had his worst season of his entire career. So if you avoided Blake Griffin at my suggestion, I think you did well for yourself. And I think that I was justified in suggesting him. Though there are some others on this list that perhaps I was wrong about. Let's see a few more of those. All right, so Kyle Kuzma's up next.
With LeBron and Anthony Davis drawing a lot of that attention, Kyle Kuzma may have more room to operate. He may hit more three-pointers. But if you can see here, very similar to Blake Griffin. He does help you with points, rebounds. He gets you some assists. He does help you with three-pointers, but no steals, no blocks. Pretty high turnovers relative to his assists. His field goal percentage is pretty average. His free throw percentage is below average. I like more flexibility with my fantasy players. I'm not a huge fan of Kyle Kuzma. He's one of those players where their name value and their real life value is better than their fantasy value. As you can see here, he's projected to be 112 at an average pick of 90.
All right. Kyle Kuzma, I think, again, I hit the nail on the head, except I don't think I was harsh enough. He's worse than I gave him credit for. So I'm going to chalk that one up as a success. Let's see who's next. I think I know who it is. Let's see what I had to say about Mr. Russell Westbrook.
Basketball player. Not basketball. Confident in saying he is not a great fantasy basketball player. Now, on the surface, 23 points per game, over 11 rebounds from a guard, over 10 assists, 1.6 three-pointers, almost 2 steals. How could I not like him? Well, I just named 4 of the 9 categories. Let's look at the other categories. Blocks, 0.5. That's actually not bad for a point guard. So he's actually helping you in 5 categories. Cool. But the damage he does in the other categories, just look. 4.5 turnovers per game. I don't know if you know this, and someone feel free to fact check me, but Russell Westbrook leads NBA history in turnovers per game.
All right, so that's enough. Let me read you Russell Westbrook's numbers for the month of January. 37.7 minutes, 32.5 points, 8.3 rebounds, 8.2 assists. He did so at 52% shooting, shot 76% from the free throw line. February, he averaged 33.4 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 6 assists per game, and he shot 54, almost 55% from the field. So to say that I was wrong, yeah, I was wrong. Russell Westbrook is having probably the best fantasy basketball stretch of his entire career. He is missing one of back-to-back games, but other than that, he's been amazing. The Houston system has been amazing. It's unleashed his potential. Just having that small ball lineup that could use his rebounding as opposed to lineups that didn't really need it. He's been amazing. I was wrong. I don't know that I don't know that tons of people predicted he'd be as good as he's been. If you did draft Russell Westbrook at an average pick of 16 there, I doubt you're upset as long as he can keep up what he's doing. Houston looks like they're fighting for playoff seeding, so they shouldn't rest too many players outside of one of those back-to-backs. So his production should be sustainable for the rest of the season. I think the percentages will fall some, but I think he's changed the way that he's playing, and being surrounded by shooters has really opened up his ability to score at the basket, and it's playing huge dividends. So that's a huge L for myself, definitely. Who is next? Zion Williamson. This one was controversial when I made it. Let's see what I had to say.
Overall pick. But this is the NBA. In the NBA, he's an unproven commodity. He's undersized for a power forward. He measured at 6'5" recently. Actually, it may have been 6'6". Either way, he's about the height of a shooting guard. He's incredibly athletic. But so was Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker was very athletic. He had more size, and even at 6'8", he was considered an undersized power forward. And look what happened. He tore his ACL. Zion Williamson worries me for that same reason. He carries a lot of weight regardless of his explosiveness and his athleticism. On top of that, you combine that with being undersized for the position, and now he's playing in the NBA. He's not playing against high school and college students anymore. He's playing the best of the best, and he's coming in with huge expectations. I'm not saying he won't ever meet them, but even here...
All right, so with Zion, I'm mixed. I think I was right overall. Just he missed so much time, and he did end up getting a knee injury that happened. So I was right on that regard. Now, what I think I wasn't right about, I don't think him being undersized is going to be a huge issue for him. He's shown, and also the level of competition he's shown isn't an issue for him either. So I will give myself credit in that he wasn't being drafted where he should have been drafted. He's still not a perfect fantasy player, but he's better than I give him credit for. You probably would have been better off drafting him not at 32. He probably won't end up producing at that level again because of the time he missed. But a lot of the analysis I provided, in my opinion, hasn't turned out to be accurate. I was wrong again about him being too undersized. And he's so explosive that it really hasn't been an issue. Big guys aren't stopping him or slowing him down at all. And the competition hasn't slowed him down either. He's feasting against everyone. They're having a hard time stopping him. So that was definitely much of a non-factor. Who's next? Marvin Bagley. What did I have to say here?
Bogdanovich, who plays some small forward. They have now Trevor Ariza, who plays the forward position and sometimes plays power forward. It's a very murky rotation. They did get rid of Willie Cauley-Stein, which is cool, but they also have Harry Giles that also plays power forward. It's really hard to know which direction they're going to go. So with him being undersized now, hurting you in your free throw percentage and not really helping you all that much with 3-pointers, steals, blocks, or assists. Look at that, 1.6 turnovers to 1 assist.
All right, so on Marvin Bagley, the little bit of the analysis I heard right there, I was on point. Their forward rotation has been a mess. And Marvin Bagley, being drafted at 74, he's been a nightmare. He's missed the majority of the season. And when he comes back, he gets injured a game or two later and he's out for weeks. The rotation has been a mess. They have a ton of forwards. And he just hasn't been productive at all. He hasn't been helpful. So if you did burn a top 74 pick on him, I guarantee that you do regret it. And you would have wished that you did listen to me to not draft him. So for him, I will give myself a W. Who is next?
But last year, he kind of fell off a cliff a bit. A lot was the setup of the Utah Jazz. He had the ball in his hands less, and they made him play off ball more. But his lack of shooting makes it hard for him to play off ball. He is with the Phoenix Suns now, and it's probably the best point guard they've had since Eric Bledsoe. He won't have to score as much, and he might get a lot of assists playing with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. He's probably going to be great for DeAndre Ayton's game. So I put him softly on this list. I still think he can produce at the average pick of 84. You can do a whole lot worse than Ricky Rubio, in all honesty. I'm personally not going to draft him. I dropped him last year really early on for Shai Gilgeous, and it ended up working out for me. Shai ended up ranking higher than Ricky Rubio did, even though some people questioned why I would make that move. His field goal percentage is low.
So I'm glad that I said he was a soft ad and that my analysis of what he's done in Phoenix wasn't accurate. But I still reached the conclusion of not drafting him, which was the part that was not accurate. So it's another one of those, but this time it's in the side of I'll say I was wrong because I still ended up adding him to the list. Even though I knew what he had the potential of doing, I was scared off. He's been great in Phoenix. He's been playing like a top 15 player the last few weeks. Phoenix has a bad schedule next week, but for the fantasy playoffs after that, they play a lot of games. He's going to get a ton of steals. He's going to get a ton of assists. His percentages haven't been as awful as they tend to be. So, yeah, I'd say I'm going to have to chalk that one up as not the greatest advice, even though I did give correct analysis about what he would do in Phoenix. So, who is next? All right, let's see here.
Not a fan of this guy's fantasy game whatsoever. At all. His fantasy game is disgusting to me. Sorry about that phone. It's my business phone and I get annoying phone calls all day. But he helps you with points. And that's about it. Really, that's all he's helping you with. He's a one-dimensional player projected to be 124, and he's going in the top 100. I've had him multiple years where I just dropped him because he hurts you in more ways than he helps you. He helps you in points. If that's what you want, a one-dimensional scorer.
All right, so this one, I don't know if I was right or wrong. I mean, Andrew Wiggins has been better than expected, but he still hasn't been the greatest fantasy basketball player. The trade to the Golden State Warriors is looking like that may change, though. It looks like that may be a great fit for him, and we may see more things like steals, blocks, and better percentages from him. So, really, at where he was being picked, you probably were fine drafting him at 100, so I probably shouldn't have added him to the list, because at 100, an average pick of 100, he was fine. That's probably where he's producing, around that level. But he has upside to produce better than that. So I'd probably side on the. I probably shouldn't have added him to the list. All right, let's see who is next.
Got all in three-pointers made. His points per game are pretty low, and I don't see that increasing. His field goal percentage is elite for sure. His free throw percentage actually crept up significantly. This guy used to kill. Want to not.
So DeAndre Jordan, he had an average pick of 99, and he's had flashes. But overall, I think my analysis ended up being correct. If you picked him at 100, probably aren't full of regret. He hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been great. There's games where he does well, but then there's games where Jared Allen does well, and DeAndre Jordan has a rough game. So overall, I'm fine with me putting him on this list. This next one, man, you guys might want to unsubscribe. Oh, man, this is going to be rough.
To Andrew Wiggins. Don't know what his role is going to be on the New Orleans Pelicans, but he also had some health issues that hopefully he's past and can be a contributor. So why does he hurt you? He does score more points than Andrew Wiggins, or about the same amount. Gets more rebounds, gets more assists. He doesn't help you in three-pointers. He doesn't help you in steals. He doesn't help you in blocks. His turnovers are almost as high as his assists. Pretty decent field goal percentage. His free throw percentage is going to hurt you. He's just not a fantasy-friendly player. He hurts you almost as much as he helps you. And at an average pick of 111 when he's projected to be 228, I'd rather not take a chance unless I'm picking him around pick 200.
Disgusting. Wow. Disgusting. Brandon Ingram, proved me so wrong. That analysis, while it was accurately based on last year, proved me wrong. Proved that analysis to be trash. 24.6 points, 6.2 rebounds, 4.3 assists, a steal, hitting 2.5 3-pointers, which he's hitting at 39% shooting. And he's shooting 86% from free throw and hitting 5.1 of them per game. So he's pretty much elite at free throws. He went from 67% free throw last year to 86% this year, which is an amazing leap. That is an incredible leap. Every year before that, he shot below 70%. So to jump up to 86% is unprecedented. Wow. He's having an amazing season. His three-pointers made last year were 0.6. This year he made 2.5. So he increased by 1.9 per game. And he's shooting 39%. Okay, 39%, the highest of his career. Last year he shot 33%, taking way less attempts. That he has to be the most improved player. I can't help but gush for him. I ended up trading Pascal Siakam for him in one of my leagues. I love that I have him. He's won me over. I was wrong. 100%. I'm going to give myself 2 L's for telling you not to draft Brandon Ingram. He was going at average pick of 111, which means what he's producing right now would have been amazing if you picked him there. And if I dissuaded you not to pick him, I am truly sorry. I gave you bad advice. Who is next? Let's see.
He's a rookie. Again, an unproven commodity. He has higher upside than a lot of the other rookies, but the Knicks are a mess. It's difficult to know what their rotation is. He plays the same position as Kevin Knox, who they talked up just as highly last year as they're talking up R.J. Barrett. I don't believe he will be worth a pick in the top 111. Feel free to disagree.
All right. I'd say we all know that was accurate. The Knicks are still a mess. The rotation has been a mess. R.J. Barrett, while he's been okay by rookie standards, he has not been a good fantasy basketball player. So if you avoided him, you're probably doing okay. All right, let's see what I have to say about this guy right now.
I hate this guy's fantasy game. I think he's a better real life player than he is a fantasy basketball player. Doesn't help you really in any categories of note. Everything's kind of just mediocre with this guy. He's pretty average. When I see his stat line, I just think, wow, this is a really average player as far as fantasy basketball. 13 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 1.3 three-pointers, 0.9 steals, 0.4 blocks.
All right, so Jaylen Brown, I'd say I was wrong about that one as well. This and an average pick of 118. He has been injured. He's injured right now, but he's put up some pretty nice stat lines. Really, he still doesn't get a ton of steals or blocks, but he gets you good amount of 3-pointers, shoots good field goal percentage, and he's hitting 20 points per game this season. So he broke that 20 points per game threshold. So for a guy you could have drafted at 118, he shouldn't have been on this list. So, I'm sorry. Oh, man. Let's listen to this.
It's close to 4 turnovers. That assist-to-turnover ratio is still pretty nice. The field goal percentage is nice, but the free throw percentage, he hurts you. My issue with LeBron isn't his production. His production justifies a top 8 pick. I won't even argue that. My concern is that his body's slowly breaking down. This man has been playing an absurd amount of minutes since he was 18 years old. He went to the finals 8 years in a row. That's first round, second round, conference finals, and then playing in the finals 8 years in a row. That's an insane amount of minutes. So for him to have the injury problems he had last year after never having them before that is very concerning to me. It's concerning to me that will be a trend instead of a fluke. And as I've told you before about availability is the best ability, I can't justify taking a top 8 pick on LeBron James when there's younger players with less minutes, less wear and tear.
Okay, so, yeah, that was wrong. If you picked LeBron at 8, you're looking great. LeBron's been amazing, and he's been healthy. I made the mistake of thinking LeBron James is a human being, and for that, I apologize. He is playing like he's 24 years old. He hasn't lost a step. He's averaging 25 points per game, shooting 49% from the field, hitting 2.2 3-pointers. Yes, he does hurt you from free throw, but he's getting you over 1 steal. He's getting you half a block. He's getting you the highest assist of his career, almost 11 assists per game you're getting from LeBron James. 25 points, almost 11 assists. That's amazing production. He's been healthy. He's been playing. He's been helping fantasy teams, and I'm upset that I told you not to draft him. Some of you told me I was wrong. I counted out the king, and that's on me. Who else is on this list?
But an average pick of 65. His numbers are decent when he is playing. 19 points projected, 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, over 2 3-pointers, close to 2 3-pointer steals a game. His turnovers are fairly decent for how much he handles the ball, but they're projecting a really low field goal percentage and a really low free throw percentage for him. So those percentages combined with the doubts about his health, I can't tell you in good conscience to burn a top 65 pick, and that's where he's being drafted. Just doesn't make sense to me. I rather draft healthy players, and players sometimes take a while to come back from an ACL tear and become the player that they're going to be.
All right, so there, I redeemed myself after a streak of some bad ones. Victor Oladipo at 65, you were better off not drafting him. He barely came back a few weeks ago. He hasn't been himself. He's still missing games here and there, dealing with soreness. He hasn't been great. So had you picked somebody else at 65 or around that area other than Victor Oladipo, you probably aren't upset with me if you follow that advice. So who do we have coming up? Let's see.
Jokic is their center. His field goal percentage is projected great. His three-pointers held him back to keep him healthy for the playoffs, which means his production is going to go down, and he's still a huge injury risk. I don't recommend a.
All right, so this one I'm probably on the fence on, just because he only had an average pick of 116. So if you picked him there, not a whole lot lost. He has been decent when he's played, but he has been missing games with injuries uh, as recently as this week. So that's something I said would be a possibility. But he's played well enough, and he hasn't missed like months at a time. Where had you drafted him at 116, you probably wouldn't be too upset. But again, you could have grabbed Brandon Ingram around there. So relative to what players you could have gotten instead of Paul Millsap, maybe. That's why I'm on the fence about it.